everybody is on a different journey. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. And so the roadmap should not look the same for every single pitcher. As a pitcher or a parent, what are we really striving for? If my pitching coach doesn't know that I have a goal in mind, are we just kind of going just along with all the other pitchers? Welcome to the Weekly Dose. My name is Jamie Southern, and this week I want to talk about the roadmap that is used within your lessons. Now, remember we talked about a couple weeks ago about give and take into our lessons. And we go to our lesson to be given all this information, all these drills, what to work on. Tell us more, right? And we need to be able to first let our pitching coach know what our goals are, right? And when I let my pitching coach know what my goals are, then that should give the pitching coach more information to create a roadmap for me to achieve my goal, right? So I used to give like 20, 25 girls lessons. And when I did, everybody is on a different journey. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. And so the roadmap should not look the same for every single pitcher. So do you know where you're going? Do you know how quickly your pitching coach is going to get you there? Do you know what it takes to get to achieving your goal? Now, I'll give you an example because you're thinking, well, I don't even know what that means. If my head coach of my team says, we need you to get a rise ball, right? We know that you will find so much more success in a game. They are going to swing at this pitch. We need you to have a rise ball in 2 to 3 months by the time season starts. Okay? So I go to my pitching instructor and I say, hey, my head coach really would like me to have a rise ball. So what does that look like? Now we started that communication, right? So it's great. The head coach has communicated what their needs are. You now get to communicate to your pitching instructor, and you get to then find out if A, that's achievable. If that's something that you can do. Maybe you're really struggling with your mechanics and it's going to be a struggle to get a successful rise ball until you work on a couple things. That might be the answer. B, they may say, let's go. If your coach needs this, we need you to start working on it. Or they might say, hey, we've really been working on this drop ball and you're so close to getting it and finding success in a game with it. So let's finish with this. And then that's going to be your next pitch that we can start, right? So you can kind of inform the head coach of what your pitching coach said. That is an example of how you kind of use your pitching coaches to figure out the roadmap, and they learn goals that you have. I want to give you an example that is something that happened with our family and our swim lessons that I just found super helpful as a parent, and I think we can incorporate it into our lessons to put the parents, the pitchers, and the instructors all on the same page. And this is what it was. We, in the Austin area, there was three swim companies that we used for our 3 daughters. And we liked each one of them for a different reason, right? One of them was skill-based. So it did not matter how old you are. When you achieved lesson number 2 of kicking for 5 seconds and holding your breath, then you moved on to lesson 3. And you could achieve a couple lessons in the same day if you were just skillful and you knew what to do. So we love that for our oldest daughter, who is task oriented. She's like, what do I gotta do? I gotta do this because I want to get to the next level. Okay? We then had another one that we adored because there was only 3 kids at one time and it was super quick and they moved on. It wasn't very boring of like, oh, they're sitting there doing the same thing every single week. That wasn't the case. So for our youngers that we just wanted them to have fun and enjoy swimming and just be in the water, that was perfect for them. Now there was this last one that was a little on the boring side. I will say I was frustrated as a mom. It's like, and I know as parents, you get frustrated. It's like, oh, we're working on a fastball again. But when you walked into the building, there was a file cabinet that you pulled out your laminated page or chart for your daughter or for your child. And on it was the skills that were needed to be able to graduate from this level, right? And it had floating on your back for 5 seconds and being able to do all these things. And there were stars, 5 stars. And it was like, she's so close. She did this 3 times. We've got to do this a couple more times. And then she's accomplished this skill. And the next one was, okay, we've got to be able to turn over, from my back to my tummy or whatever. And, she's got 2 stars right now. And this is really hard for her. This is what, if you guys can practice this in the bathtub or at your own pool, this would be super helpful. So as I leave, I now know what my child has to work on, what my child struggles with, and it had a note section to be able to understand and hear what the instructor thinks about where she's at or what really needs to be the focus. So, and I got that every week, and it would be updated as they went through their lesson. As a parent who I know how to swim, but do I know specific swimming skills? Not so much. I can go in and I feel like I'm in the loop. I understand what now you're working with my daughter on. Instead of me looking at it and being like, oh gosh, they're doing the same darn thing. It's like they're doing the same thing because gosh, she's struggling with this and she's got to be able to accomplish this to move on to the next bigger and better skill, right? So what I love with having this roadmap is it keeps everybody on the same page. It opens up, it allows for a place of communication if the parent just doesn't understand the speed of the instructor, right? So if we don't have that, which many pitching coaches don't have, what does that look like? What does that look like for parents and for pitchers, right? We have to then communicate. So maybe that's like as you're finding a pitching instructor, you have to communicate those things to say, how do you progress? Do you spend 3 weeks on one pitch and move on? Do you, how do you know they've mastered the pitch? But if we don't know the roadmap as a pitcher or a parent, what are we really striving for? If my pitching coach doesn't know that I have a goal in mind, are we just kind of going just along with all the other pitchers? Right? How am I specific? How are you teaching me specific to my journey? And it's very important to ask those questions. And it's very important for the progression of their success, right? To stay on track with kind of their skill level with their age group, but also of just being able to know and to motivate. And, as a parent, I'm like, hey, they need you to practice this because if you can do this, then we're moving on. Let's go out there. That would motivate me as a pitcher to be like, I know, right? I'm a to-do list person. I'm a checklist person. So it's like, give me a task and I want to accomplish it so I can move on, right? And some of you, or maybe your daughters are the same way. And that's important that maybe the instructor needs to know that so they can teach to your daughter. Right? We look at elementary schools and we think, oh gosh, right? Teachers have a tough time. There's 28 kids in a class and they're supposed to be able to teach to each kid in the way that they learn best. And, are they a visual learner or an auditory or, all these things. Well, why is that any different? I have a pitcher on my staff now that likes to talk things through. She's got to talk, she's got to hear herself, she's got to process it that way, right? And then other pitchers want me to show them what I'm talking about. I don't understand, can you just show me? As an instructor, I have to be able to be the best coach, right? Is to teach to each individual person. But I also need to know what their goals are, because If I have a girl that does not want to change how they do something mechanically, and I keep bashing it in them like week after week trying to fix it, that's a problem. We're gonna like come to this disagreement, or we're gonna come to this roadblock to say, I am really frustrated because I really want you to fix this. And they're like, it's really hard and I don't want to. Right? Like those are battles that happen. Like they may not say that, but they're not working on it. So as a pitching coach, I know they really don't want to get better with it, but we have to be able to be on the same page. So what does that roadmap look like for you? How are you different than the pitcher next to you? How does your instructor progress throughout the year? Do they have a formula that they use of like off season they do this, then right before season here, right? Is it your only time to learn a new pitch is in the off season? Do they allow you to try something, right? Are they just focused on, you have an hour lesson and 30 minutes is mechanical and then 30 minutes is learning pitches or spins, or what does that look like? Do you even know? Do you know the structure? Is it good for you or your daughter? Right? Those are all things to continue to just process and think out loud and ask questions, because you don't want to be like her. You want to be like you and whatever your strengths are, where you could shine on that mound. So I will just finish up with my roadmap. Like I look back now and I'm thinking, I don't know, I just kind of went. I just kind of went, and I had to change instructors, if you remember, because one stopped because she had kids. And so for a little bit, I didn't have an instructor. And then I went to someone who was very hands-off, but simple and so great. And so allowed me to put in the work on my end. And then he passed away my sophomore year in high school. And so it was just me and my dad for the last 2 years until I got to college. And that's okay. I was very successful. I worked hard on my pitches, but I don't think there was a focus for me that I could have better utilized my practice time and my lessons, and right, like really allowed me to set goals for myself. So I think one of the greatest parts of me as an instructor is using my teacher background, right? Because all the schooling in college and all the student teaching and everything that went into that was about how to teach individual kids. And some of your instructors, they might not have that teacher background, or they may struggle with communication or breaking it down in a way. So this got me thinking, I think that this would be a really good topic to add to this month. So make sure you look for that, of questions to ask your pitching instructor and how to find an instructor that you think will be great for you or your daughter, because it's very important, right? It's their love for the position. It's them having success or not having success with what's being taught, and how many pitchers do they give lessons at the same time with, and all that. There's so much that goes into lessons that maybe parents just haven't thought about. Or as a mom and someone that has given lessons, I will tell you what works for me and what doesn't work for me, and you can kind of just use all that to gather your information to find the best fit for your daughter. So be on the look for that. Tomorrow we are going to send out our workout of the week, and it is one of the most important workouts that I think a pitcher should do. It kind of talks about the last week's live topic, but this one is something that is not live. It's not just, oh, the workout's pitching live. No, but it is so important. I loved doing it in college. My pitchers at college now love doing it. And so be on the lookout for that, because it's something that you can add any day that you're practicing. You probably can figure out a way to do it. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you for following, and subscribe if you want to just kind of make sure that you're up to the loop on when we post our videos. Bye guys.